Welcome to the grand finale of A Bard in Skyrim. My name is Ricky and this is Daniel. That's right, today we are finally taking the fight to Alduin in Sovngarde. And while we do that, I am going to tell you the story of what went on in Daniel's village while they were gone. Why did Q go home? Why did Daniel not want to go home? And then ultimately what made him want to go to the Bard's College now, after all of these years. Well, while I walk up to talk to the Jarl about capturing a dragon, I'm going to tell you what happened in the Peace Council. Because the Peace Council did not go exactly as you might expect in Skyrim. I mean, it kinda did, in the sense that I actually had intended it to go exactly that way, but instead what usually happens to me when I go to the Peace Council happened to me, and I got kind of frustrated, and I kind of just a little bit shouted at a usurper Jarl, and then the general that's sort of at war with that current Jarl decided that that wasn't cool and tried to kill Daniel, and then they did kill Daniel, although this entire time, well, everybody is getting real mad at Daniel. The Greybeards were like, yeah, whatever. And then Daniel died, and then it reset, and I wasn't sitting through the council again. So instead, I just used the console to skip it. But here's what happened within the canon of A Bard in Skyrim. So Daniel convened the Peace Council, and they get up there, and everyone's bickering like they do. And Daniel stands up and says, look, you guys need to listen to me, because I can breathe fire and ice, and I can yell at you so loud you go flying across this room. Now, I'm aware that one of you in this room can do that too, but I can do it better. And then he said, if you want this war to end, and you want this war to end in your favors, in either of your favors, then you need to listen to me, because Alduin will kill all of you, and none of it will matter. But before Alduin has a chance to do that, the Greybeards and I are going on a little fun yelling adventure. And everyone will remember this Peace Council for what it was. The end of the Civil War, because all the leaders and two other Jarls, and also for whatever reason, an agent of the Thalmor, were all killed. So they relented, and so there's not going to be any Civil War fighting until Daniel deals with Alduin. Alright, Balgruff, let's capture this dragon.
We're ready, Dragonborn. Just say the word.
Okay. So are you ready?
As I promised, my men stand ready. The great chains are oiled. We wait on your word.
Well then, let's do it.
My men know what to do. Make sure you do your part.
Okay. Dragon Rend. Dude, you should move.
You do have a plan for luring.
There he comes. I mean, seriously. You should move. You should run away. Whiterun Guard, don't stand there. I told you not to stand there. So I'm going to real fast tell you that I have been preparing for the next Skyrim story, which is going to be on the Switch. And so I've been playing a lot on the Switch. No, attack. No, me. There you go. And so I might press and swap between the A and the B buttons incorrectly. That's right. Come after Daniel. That's right. Come on. There we go. So, we just had a fun conversation with the dragon that I'm skipping because it's Skyrim and everyone knows the stupid conversation. I don't even know why I bother to leave them in. Anyway, so we're going to free this guy, and he's going to fly us to Sovngarde. Actually, he's going to fly us to Skuldafn. Then we'll go to Sovngarde. That one was my mistake. Yes. I am ready. Take me to Skuldafn. I have a fresh Blessing of Talos. I don't really like how close you get to him when you're talking to him, and I really don't think it's very interesting to watch someone else deal with that. So, we're going to start with Unrelenting Force. Nope. Already hitting wrong buttons. Already hitting wrong buttons. There we go. So, now I need to tell you this story. So, as you may remember, but I'll refresh your memory if you don't, Daniel and Q left their village in Valenwood a long time ago. And there's a dragon right there. And let's get that dragon on the ground. Or we'll keep him on the ground, that's fine, whatever. I think this first dragon is a fire dragon typically. I was right. Daniel and Q lay left. And they left during this fight over the Green Pact, if you'll recall. There we go. Dragon's finally dead. Whoops. I didn't actually mean to press that thing twice. That's fine. So, immediately after this... immediately after Daniel and Q left, the rest of the village had a slight skirmish, might be the best way to describe it, But it ended with the people who did not think that they needed to be adhering to the Green Pact quite so stringently, winning and taking over control of the village. So the people who did want to support the Green Pact pretty rigidly, they were rigid adherents of it. They left the village, most of them willingly, a few of them less than willingly. And the village prospered. In the next 10 years, they had very strict rules about the Green Pact and what was and wasn't going to be followed, don't get me wrong. But they did have peace, they had order, and they prospered, and it was a good time. Please don't tell me they're all going to be restless. Drought restlesses. That's not as much fun. Okay, well at least that one's a white, but I mean, another restless. That's depressing. Anyway, so 10 years. 10 years they are at peace. And then 10 years later, Daniel and Q have been gone for 10 years, and they've traveled all over Tamriel. The only place they actually haven't traveled to, the one place they actually really should have traveled to but never did, elsewhere. They traveled to pretty much everywhere else. And in their time, they'd done a lot, and Daniel had read a lot. He was quite well read at this point. So they were back in Cyrodiil, and they were hanging out at a tavern that was near the border of Cyrodiil and Valenwood. And Cyrodiil, okay, I think we're finally done with everything. Okay, so now we're going inside. While they're there, this guy walks in, sees that they are wood elves, and asks them if they'd heard about this village that was currently under siege by an invading army. I missed. Thank you. I didn't miss that time. And they had heard of this village because it was their village. And they did not like that much. So Q decided he needed to go home and help, and Daniel did not want to because he was done with that life. He was done. He was done. And, I mean, I don't entirely blame him for that, but I also don't blame Q for wanting to go home either, right? Like, there's something about home. And so they split up. Daniel went to Morrowind, and Q went back home to their village. So Daniel goes to Morrowind, he hears this tale from this orc miner, and decides it's time for him to go home. Now, it took about 6 months between the time that this siege started and for them to find out about it. But what happened was that in the same 10 years where the village had prospered, this group that had been kicked out had also grown and prospered, and they were being led by a man named Greenie, who'd taken to himself to call him Greenie, and they had taken to calling themselves Greenies, this army. Long story short, they had begun... Don't do that. They had begun this siege. It wasn't really a siege. They sent some I guess advanced scouts very early on, and the town's guards fought them off, and most of them escaped with their lives at first, although when they got back they were executed for treachery. And but the one guy, they managed to capture one guy, and on him he had a declaration of war. This group had declared war on these guys. So for about 6 months they've been skirmishing with this group, with this army, the Greenies. That's when Q headed home, and then Daniel finally came to his senses and realized he needed to go home too after hearing the orc miner story. And so he headed home too. It took Daniel a little bit longer to get back because he was going from Morrowind. And by the time Daniel got back, it had been about a year that this had started. And to be honest with you, things were not going super well. But when Daniel got there, he had discovered that the armies, the leader of the leaders that weren't Greenie, but the other leaders of their armies, the lieutenants of the army, had gathered at this camp, along with a large chunk of the Greenie army. And the leadership in the village were pretty sure that they were all going to be they were going to lay siege to everybody, and that was going to be the end of it. Like, the war was going to be over one way or another. So Daniel devised a plan, and this plan was to draw out the army from this camp and have Q and a couple of other guys go in and take out the leadership of the army. And Daniel had read about it in a book. That's how he knew about it. And so that's what they did. And the thought was that the army would leave when their trying to knock that off. Thank you, game. That when the army lost all of their leadership, but the majority of their leadership, they would flee. The only person that this worked on, unfortunately, was Greenie, the leader, who did flee all the way to the Somerset Isles and has never been heard from since. Unfortunately, it did work, by the way. The plan did work. They drew out the army, and they did attack, and they did take out the leadership in this camp. This is going to hurt. You know, I've been here at level 7 before, and I have seen much tougher Dragur. Anyway, so, unfortunately, the army did not like this and just decided to go and full-on attack this village. And it was a battle that lasted several days. Daniel, along with the leaders of the village, fought, or Daniel didn't fight, but Daniel led Daniel was part of the leadership in planning, and Q was out on the battlefield. So after the battle, after this massive battle, Daniel, the town's leaders wanted to make Daniel the new leader of the town, but he didn't want to do it because he doesn't want to be a leader. He wanted to go to Skyrim. He wanted to join the Bards College. This story needed to be told, and he figured the Bards were the best way to do that. And you know, so that's actually the reason he finally decided he needed to get to Skyrim, was because the Bards were, in his mind, the best chance of being able to tell this story. Instead, Q is in charge. By the way, I'm not saying that these enemies would be any easier or harder to fling around. They're not. I am just saying that Draugr Deathlords have spawned here at level 1 before. Is all I'm saying. Sometimes this game is not as consistent as you'd like. We are going to fight a Dragon Priest though in a second. Alright. So, that is what happened to Daniel's village, and that is why Daniel came back to Skyrim, so that way he could learn to tell his story. But Daniel's done with Skyrim. Okay, let's not keep doing that. Let's just mash fire breath until he dies. You're not gonna call a Atronach? Or are you just not gonna be able to because I keep stunning you with fire breath? That might be why. Yeah, I think it was just because I was stunning him with fire breath. It's fine. Mostly I want the mask. That we'll never use. Jump! Sovngarde. Here we are. We're going to clear skies our way through here so I can actually see the path. And also, it stuns the people, the random, like, Stormcloak and Imperial soldiers that are wandering through here. And come up and try and, you know, start conversation with you. Also, somewhere here might be the bard that we saw when we went to get the book. Yeah, right here.
Turn back before he finds you.
That's the bard we fought with in King Olaf's tomb to get King Olaf's verse. That's the bard we fought with, I think. I'm pretty sure. I'm like 90% certain. We can also meet King Olaf, who's in here. Alright, now for the part I don't really want to deal with. But I'm going to deal with it. I don't think it should be too hard because Daniel's pretty OP and the game isn't on a super high difficulty.
What brings you, Wayfarer?
I seek entrance to the Hall of Valor.
No shade are you, as usually here living, you dare the land of the dead.
Well,
What right do you request entry?
I'm the Dragonborn. It's the only way I can get in. I mean, you can also get in as leader of the companions, but which is so dumb. Can I enter the Hall of Valor?
Living or dead, by decree of shore, none may pass this perilous bridge till I judge them worthy by the warrior's test.
Okay, with their stupid powerful. With your stupid powerful battle axe and your nearly killing me
You fought well. I find you worthy.
in one hit.
It is long since one of the living has
Stupid son. I don't like him at all.
The shore's favor
I think it's the worst part. Because, like, if you've spent the entire game being super stealthy, and now you get to this point, it's not the worst part of the game. Because the worst part of the game is the Peace Council. But it might be the second worst part of the game. Okay, right, yes, I need to go talk to these guys. Everyone knows this. This is Skyrim. This is not news. Hey! This is not cool, Feldir. You gotta go change. We are not wearing the same thing. You go change. It's fine for Jurgen Windhelm, or whatever his name is, to wear Windcaller. What's his name? The old Greybeard guy. It's fine for him to wear the same thing, because he's the leader of the Greybeards. But you know, you gotta go change. Yeah, see, Jurgen Windcaller. That's his name. It's cool that he's wearing it. Okay, so we're gonna do clear skies, right? Is that what I heard? Okay. No, I already shouted. You guys get on it. No, I already did it. Do it. You know, I could have shouted 4 times by now. See, I can shout lots faster than you guys can, I guess. No, shout. Shout. There is an end to this. Shout. Shout. Yes. If you shout, we can get this fight going. There we go. Okay. Now let's see if I can hit Alduin with Dragon Rend real quick. I don't always aim shouts well. See, I missed him. Didn't miss him that time, though, did I? One thing I do like. You can clear up that sky real fast when he starts that shouting nonsense. Fire breath, sure. No. We're gonna just unrelenting force him until he goes down. Apparently I'm not the only one. How about instead of me taking all the damage, you guys take some tanky damage too, because you're already dead. No. No. Get back on the ground. Stop making me shake. There we go. Finally, I hit him. You know what maybe I should be doing? Letting them fight Alduin. Alduin, land. That is cheating to not land. And just shout Dragon Rend at him and occasionally get the message that someone resisted it. Get over there. Son, you get into this fight too. Stop just staying there. You know what? I feel like I already beat Alduin. They didn't get to beat Alduin properly. You know, they had to use an Elder Scroll to push him forward in time. It feels more appropriate to let them take on Alduin. Although, I don't like the fact that none of them are actually attacking him. You guys can't even die. Hit him with your axe. Okay, I think we finally got Alduin on the, like, permanently on the ground. So now we're going to unrelenting force him until he's done. However, because Alduin keeps attacking me and not them. There we go. Oh, Harkon went down. Hakon went down, not Harkon. Hakon went down. Where were you, Feldir? Yeah, Daniel, we did it. You did it. I did not know he did that. I've never pulled into third person to see that. Alduin is finally defeated. The greatest threat to ever face Tamriel is gone. Maybe. Maybe Alduin's actually going to come back. I mean, Daniel didn't absorb his soul. But here's the thing. Daniel kind of wants to go home. And so maybe Daniel will go home. Maybe he'll stay. He does have a nice, lovely home with lots of books. But he could also give that to someone else. Some other bard who might want to study, I don't know, an Elder Scroll. And he could go back to Valenwood and live a nice, simple life among his people. Or he could live a nice, simple life here at his Snow Elf hut. Either way, Daniel is a bard in Skyrim, and that's all he's ever really wanted. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.